Mic testing 1, 2. All right. Tim? Yep. Tim? Tim, that would be your thing to. All right, let's settle down, kids. Welcome. This is Tim Sullivan, the president of our deacon board. He's going to open us up in an official. You like those spotlights tonight?
Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me okay? Very good. Very good. This is the congregational meeting. This meeting is called for two purposes. Anytime we spend more than $25,000, the congregation has to approve it. And so that's part of it. And the other is to appoint a new board member.
Yeah.
So that's the purpose of the meeting today. Mark's going to share his vision and give you some, in my opinion, some amazing statistics about where we've come from and where we've been, all on a very, very positive note. And we are going to pass out ballots to those of you who are members so that you can vote on both of the items that I just talked about. And with that, I'll turn it over to you.
So, Nicole, do you want to be the master of ceremonies? If you are a member, I know there's probably some non-members here, which is fine, but if you're a member, would you lift your hand up? And we're going to make sure you all get a ballot. We'll just, I'll begin kind of talking while you exercise your arms for a minute till someone comes along. The challenge, I'm going to kind of put on a different hat from a preacher hat to a visionary and kind of business sense so we can kind of talk. But I want to share two verses as we begin. Jesus said this, I will build my church. I don't need one. What's that?
Fred's didn't print out on this.
Oh, shoot.
So we're going to have to like turn it over and say Fred or just.
Okay.
Yes,
Yeah, we'll make sure. Yeah. So you're going to see that. Yeah, that's a little bit of a problem. So we'll get to that when we get to that in a second. You're going to see there's only one proposition here. It's for money and not for a board member. That was not intentional, just a printing error, but we'll get to that in a second. But Jesus said, I'll build my church and the gates of hell will not overcome it. And Hebrews 11 says, now faith is the confidence in what we hope for and the assurance of what we do not see. And so here's what we're going to do this morning. I want to go through a few things. Where we are at in the budget. Let's start with our budget, because we normally don't do this. Yeah, beautiful. We have budgeted to be in the red year over year, and we're always in the black. We come out better than budget, which means we take in more money than we expected, and we spend less than expected, which is a really good way to run a house. The U.S. government could learn from that, and most Americans could as well. But we have, and I have a correction, we have $610,000 in the bank right now, and we are completely debt-free as a church, which you might not know is pretty unique for a church. And we're also sitting on 11.3 acres of land. And in Florida, it's, I'm trying to think of that old show where they ran into oil on their land. What was that? Beverly Hillbillies. There's gold in them there hills. Any land in Florida is valuable land. I'll tell you what, right now. So we're blessed. And I'm gonna get into this in a second. Gosh, I don't know where to begin. This is where my ADHD brain kicks in. But I want to let you know that everything we're talking about today does not pertain to this money you see on the screen. I'll tell you why. We call it a buffer, but $610,000 is almost our annual budget for the entire year. So we have a whole year of buffer. Now, we live in Florida. We have roofs that can break, fall off, get blown off. We have AC units that could blow, and we have to put in $60,000 overnight. So this money is not money that we want to talk about. We might have to do some in this conversation, but when we're talking about the bigger picture of a building, we don't want to drain our savings because things come up. Call it a rainy day. We just had one today. And in fact, someone said there was a leak over there the other day. So we want a healthy savings buffer for things that come up. But we're debt free. Here's our growth statistics. This is really exciting. In the last 12 months, we've gone up from 338 to 292, over 23% in the last 12 months. 23% increase of attendance. It's not in 20 years, in 2 years. Sorry, that's a typo. Actually, edited on the fly back there, we've added 98 new members in 18 months, is probably the truth. 98 members. And I have right here another, I think, 28 members that we're going to be adding in just a couple more weeks as well. So we are gaining members left and right, and amazing people. I want to show a picture of a mom's group that my wife just started. That was yeah. All these moms are brand new in our church. I know some of you are here. Hopefully I'm not embarrassing you. But, we never had a need for a mom's room, a family room, and now we have all these moms and nursing moms and pregnant moms. It's all signs of a healthy, growing church. I'm really excited. Who we are. We want to reach people with the gospel. And we also want to be a generous church. And here's my thought. So you say, Mark, are you trying to turn Good News Church into a mega church? No. Here's what I want to turn Good News Church into, or continue to have it be, is a faithful church. If every member of the church obeys the scripture, even what I preached today, you're sharing the gospel with your neighbor. We should be a growing church. Healthy things grow. It's just the nature of the thing. So I don't see a situation where we all get stirred up by the gospel and don't leave this place and start to share the gospel. Our neighbors come get touched by God. I met people today who are brand new that want to be a part of it. Oh, here comes rain again. It must be me every time I get on stage. I didn't do a rain dance this morning that I can remember, but there is a verse that I love. I want to read this from Exodus 36, which is like my inspirational leadership verse. Moses is building the temple. And it says, they received from Moses all the offerings the Israelites have brought to carry out the work of constructing the sanctuary. You can just put in the children's edition. And the people continued to bring free will offerings morning after morning. I love that part, free will. They weren't compelled, they weren't shamed, they weren't forced, they wanted to bring it morning after morning. So all the skilled workers were doing all the work in the sanctuary, left what they were doing and went to Moses. I love this. The people are bringing more than enough for the work the Lord commanded to be done. Just turn me up until they can hear me. Then Moses gave an order, and they sent this word throughout the camp. No man or woman is to bring anything else as an offering to the sanctuary. And so the people were restrained from bringing more because they already had more than was enough to do all the work. Can you imagine, say we're going to build a building, and I have to say, stop, enough. You've brought enough money to build it. I pray that happens for us as a church. I believe it's possible it happens for a church. We want to have a healthy church. And I wrote these on the screen here. Healthy relationships and communication. This is a big deal to me. I do not want to be a part of, and I'm sure you don't want to be a part of, a church that's toxic, where we talk about people, but we can't talk to people about the issues we're having. Healthy relationships are crucial. Healthy leadership. My board knows well that I consult them about matters that I might probably even annoy them about. I just get their opinions, and even if, they're not trying to give it to me, I seek it out because I have blind spots, you have blind spots, and I want to be a healthy leader. Healthy doctrine, huge issue, huge. Talked about it today. Now here's the other thing that's most important in this conversation. Healthy approach to expansion and spending. So we are so careful and prayerful stewards of what the Lord's put in our hands. We aren't called to hoard. but we're also not called to be broke, all right? So, like for instance, if we're sitting on $20 million in savings, which we're not, which is a problem I'm willing to deal with if someone wants to write a check, but I don't think that's healthy. We're supposed to be missional, not hoarders of things. And I think we've struck a good balance as a church. And so, you might not know this, but when we might make our budget, we wait till we're actually coming into the third quarter right now. Big dollar items that we want to do, whether it's a concrete slab out there or air conditioner replacements, we wait till the third and fourth quarter to make sure the money's there before we spend it. So we're very careful about those things because we believe that we want to be stewards of God's money. And so this is where we're at. So I think we're in a solid footing for what's coming next. We are growing. We're growing. And I remember I was talking to my wife about this. We had an apartment when we got married, and we were just over the moon. We were 21. We get married. We have a 2-bedroom apartment that was like probably 500 square feet. We're bumping each other in the hallways, and we get this massive house. It was 700 square feet. I don't know if you remember being young and married. We got a ranch, and we're like, look at this place. We are living it up in La Vida Loca over here, And then we had a baby. And you cannot imagine how much space a 6-pound item can take in a house, At one point I counted, I'm like, there is 9 places for this child to sit, and there's like 2 for me, And then we had to grow the house. Listen, as the family grows, the house has to grow. I cannot even imagine Stephanie living there with 3 kids right now. We'd probably murder each other. It would be crazy. And you'd probably know what it was like. The apartment, the house, the bigger house. And then as you get older, you go, do we really need 5 bedrooms? And then you do this thing. Listen, the goal of the house of God is never that we go, we get big and now we're going to get small again. No, I want to grow and grow and grow and grow. And that's where we're at right now. This is not a statement of faith. But let me say this, where we're living. Leadership is living by faith, right? This isn't a business. This is church. And we live by faith. But also leadership is looking at reality, and leadership is anticipating future needs. We were just sitting at a graduation party yesterday, and someone, this is crazy, they went in and they had babies. They had their baby. With the sonograms, it was years ago, it was twins. But they didn't know it till they delivered. What's that? They didn't have sonograms. They had a heartbeat, but because they were identical twins, the heartbeat was exactly the same. And I said, that sounds like the most stressful thing I've ever heard of in my life. I'm an anticipator. And some people are like, I want to be surprised. So they buy like green and yellow. They don't get pink or blue. I want to know. My wife wants to know. I want to paint the room. Listen, we are looking and seeing what's happening in our church and saying, what do we need to do to prepare for, not only prepare for, but serve what we have. So in a minute when I'm done here, we're going to have a microphone. We're going to do Q&A, and I really want you to think about questions you have. It's really important to me because I know people have questions, super important to me. This is the first time we've really talked about this stuff. Why are we doing this, Pastor Mark? This building, Pastor John and Sandy couldn't be here today. They're traveling, but I talked to him, and I love John and Sandy so much, and I'm so eternally grateful for how God has allowed me to take this church and have a founding pastor love me and for me to love him. It's a miracle. I don't know if you realize that, but it's a miracle. And we have a great relationship. He's like, Mark, tell him I'm with you. Tell him I'm for you. I'm like, do you want to vote? He goes, whatever you're voting, I'll say yes. If you know John, And so he wishes he could be here. But if he was here, maybe it's not bad. Sorry if you're watching, John. He would probably go on and on and on about how they were in the opera house and they baptized people in the street, and then this building came along and they prayed by faith and they didn't think they were going to get it, and then they got it. They shouldn't have got it, but they got it because of God's grace, and the field opened up and they bought the field, and just God did miracles. When I first got here, he would take me through and goes, oh, so-and-so built this, and let me show you a picture. He was on the crane and he was painting that, and it was like, there was so much joy because the house was being built. The sanctuary was being built. And all of a sudden, this church that was kind of like traveling about trying to find a home, found a home at the Boys and Girls Club. And so they retrofitted this, and that's what this was. It was a Boys and Girls Club. And all the locals here will come and say, oh, wasn't this the Boys and Girls Club? Yes, it was. So by God's grace, they retrofitted this building to be as good as it could be. But anyone knows it's not smartly laid out. You have an office, and you have a bathroom, and then you have a classroom, and it's kind of hodgepodge. And so, but God has used it through these years to minister to so many people. But here we grow again. We're thinking about the next thing. So we have 3 classroom environments right now. And then we have a mom's or a family room, and then we have a youth room. So basically 5 that are middle school and under right now. And then we have a general space. And so we're realizing, like, as we grow, we're going to have a problem. And as you grow, I don't know if you ever built a house or anything, it takes stinking forever to get permits and codes and make sure there's not a turtle on your property or a crane that likes to walk across your lawn, and then you got to mitigate water. And so the building we're about to build, I don't know if you have the picture of what we have. Do not marry yourself to this photo, but it's an approximate AI rendering. I wish I brought my laser pointer. But this building down here doesn't exist on the bottom. That's the building we're talking about. All right? It's going to come off of the kids' wing. It's going to have 6 classrooms, right? 6 classrooms, 2 bathrooms. Again, this might change, but you're going to get a sense of kind of what's happening here. So if you give money and say, I committed to double doors, and now I see a single door. I want to get to that in a minute. Then there's going to be a large space. Okay, so this is what I'm calling phase 1. Phase 1 is to create this whole autonomous space for the kids. The second phase is this. The pre-existing building that you see here is not smart for some things. How many ladies have been to the women's events? Raise your hand, ladies' events, right? We have about 65 women. And as we grow, let's say we have 2 services. So let's say we go from 300 to 600 and we invite the ladies out. We cannot put 100 ladies out there. Impossible. So we either have to clear the chairs in here and do it in here, or we reconstruct that space and have a larger kind of hall where we can have events for people. We are blessed with this property, and I've been talking to realtors and different people. People have asked me, why don't we just start over? Okay, well, if we got 9 acres, I think there's ones right in front of your lawn. You could probably walk there from the 9 acres for sale. We probably have to spend at least 12 to 15 million to build a building like we have right now. Like this and that would be 50 million. It's a whole other strata. Also, let me point something out. Where we're located as a church is amazing. We're like we're north, because most people are coming from Fruitland Park and Wildwood and Brownwood and all that. If we went south on 27 to where it's cheap, people would have to spend 40 minutes driving down there. I mean, it's nothing's cheap in Florida. Tell me about it. The point is that we're blessed with a spot, and we're going to maximize its impact. So we're going to have one large space there. So. Do we have any other? That's it for that. So what we're proposing today, what you're voting on, is $115,000. You say, what's that for? So this is going to allow us to actually marry. We have another slide. Signature Construction. You can look them up when you get home if you want, but they're a local company. Ironically, they built this building. They built the Boys and Girls Club, so they know this thing down to the ground. These are just the churches they've built in the local area. And we have a great relationship with them through many people in our church. So this $115,000 is going to start at probably an 8 to 10 month process with them to create design, architecture, plans, codes, permits, all that, to make sure it can even happen with the city, with the county, with all the things that have to go on to build the building. How will they be paid? If you say yes today, we're not going to write a check for $115,000. In fact, Greg Bellevue, who's helping us, he was a former board member and a faithful member of our church. He said, Mark, he kind of laughed at me. He goes, if you give them a check for $115,000, they'll never come back. I don't know if you've ever dealt with a contractor before. And if you're a contractor here, forgive me. because you pay them in phases, so it's probably going to be 8 to 10 payments. And if they start to fail on their end of the deal, we stop paying them. So we're committing to 10,000, 8,000, 10,000 as we go forward. What will we get in that time? My prayer is in that time, number one, we're going to start casting a vision, say, let's give, I'm going to call it above and beyond giving. This is not in place of your tithe. It's not in place of that. It's above and beyond your tithe. I know this, and I believe Chuck's in the room. He said something that was so interesting to me, and I believe Tim reinforced it to me this morning. The average house in this part of where we live is $423,000. That's the average house cost. This is basically 4 houses that we're going to build for the next generation. And I don't know about you, but I want my kids to love the house of God. And more than the house of God, I want them to love Jesus Christ. And I believe that even beyond a building, because buildings don't save kids, you're going to see an increase of staff that are going to disciple and mentor the next generation. And so this is just to get us off the ground. Here is my prayer in the next year, is that we have enough money in the bank to turn soil over. I don't want to do anything until we have at least $750,000 in the bank above and beyond our savings. I showed you that $600, forget about that. Right now we have $7,500. We have $7,500 in the bank for our building. I want to see that be $750,000. And so we're not going to just go take a $2 million mortgage. I assure you, as your pastor, I would never let that happen. Never let that happen. I think it's foolish. The borrower is slave to the lender. And I don't think it's bad to have a mortgage, but it needs to be a mortgage that's manageable. And so if we had $1 million in the bank, then we could say, okay, let's break ground. If we have to pause, we'll pause. I'm waiting for signs from God, and this is one of the signs I'm waiting from the Lord. Like, if people just don't give, then Lord, help me, But our plan is to be frugal and to be smart, but we can't do anything because we don't even know. I spent all day fighting with ChatGPT to get pictures, but an architect is going to give us actual real pictures, 3D renderings, internal, external codes, permits. Oh, by the way, and an exact number cost to build the building. Because right now we're kind of spitballing it, guesstimating it at 1.8. But it's $1.8 million. And then to retrofit some of the church, that's going to cost some more money as well. So that's where we're at. I got my board sitting here. What questions, this is where I'm going to go to Q&A, that someone might have about what we're doing or why we're doing it, the size, the scope, all that stuff. Please, no question's a bad question. I want to hear from you guys. Yes, ma'am. Can you say it one more time? How many kids can fit in there? So we're building the occupancy to fit 100 kids. Can you go back to the slide of the aerial rendering of the building? There it is. So you can see that could fit comfortably in this building here. So if you picked that up and you could place it in here. I was actually in here with Greg with measuring tape, and you can see it fits in here. But we're planning for 100. Here's why. There's a reason to that. A building like this has 400 seats in it. And if you have maximum occupancy is around 80. When I say 80, if you walk into a building, that's Christmas, that's Easter. It's like, you're like, oh, this is not comfortable. Most people don't like to be in a building with over 80% occupancy seats. So when we get to 80%, we're having 2 services. So if you have, let's say 300, that would be 75%. Let's say out of that you have 75 kids on top of that. That's the kind of the ratio. So you have 300 adults in here, and you have 75 kids in the kids wing. After that, you have to do 2 services, 3 services. And if we get to 4 services, well, then we'll plan on buying a whole new building. That's a problem we'll face down the road. But to answer your question, 100 kids. It's a great question. I didn't cover that. Parking, yeah, that's a really great question. Yeah, so everything has to be considered. So the ditch, gosh, I wish I had my laser pointer like a professor. But those trees down there, that ditch that we have right there, we're probably going to have to fill that in. But in Florida, for every time you fill something in, you got to dig another hole. So all parking is going to be considered. The reason we don't, and even if we had all the money in the world, if we paved that side of the building's parking, you need water mitigation. It's got to go somewhere. And that creates a whole animal of a problem. So sometimes having that, how do I say, dirt parking lot is the smartest because the water just sucks right in. But parking is obviously part of the whole scope of the thing that this Signature Construction is going to give us to say, okay, here's what we propose to do. Because obviously we have parking way out into the football field. We don't even touch it, but we could. So, yeah, we'll get parking for you. VIP parking just for you. Just kidding. Yes, ma'am.
Is there going to be a fellowship hall for the kids as well? You said classrooms, but is there going to be an area that they can all get together and?
All right, so she's asking, are you asking about the new building? Yeah, so the new building, it'll have 6 classrooms as it's proposed. We'll get harder details. Maybe a couple offices. There might be like a loft office, storage, something like that. And it'll be, if you've ever been to our kids area, I hope you all have been, we have a common space, a kind of a gathering, a worship area, their sanctuary, if you will. It'll be bigger. It'll be a lot bigger. And so that could be used for other events during non-kids club times. But the phase 2 part would be creating a bigger space here in the main building. So what you see from that wall, the new wall where we have the photo booth, all the way over to the kids club, we were proposing to possibly just wipe the whole thing out. So you'd walk in and just have this massive lobby space. But that's phase 2. But yeah, is that answering your question? Is that what you were asking?
I was thinking even after-school programs, and maybe I don't know. That's what I was wondering. Is there ever an opportunity then to have after-school, have a place, a safe place?
Yeah, no, you're bringing something up that, like, I'm smiling because, like, a lot of churches, what they do is they actually rent their church out for preschool, during the week. I'm not that far ahead in my business brain, but it is a possibility because honestly, our kids club area is not used Monday through Friday, mostly. I mean, we had a mom's group, we have some homeschool groups, but mostly this building is pretty empty. That's why when people come and say, can we have a funeral? Can we have a thing? The other day I had 100 cops in here. It's like, sure, come on in. Well, no one's in here. But we're thinking about all that as we work with the designers, how to be smart, so strategic to say, like, could it be used for this? Could it be used for that? How do we do this? So we don't want to think just like what our needs are now. We want to anticipate what could possibly be. Yeah. Anyone else? Yes, Ralph in the back.
Is there a consideration for a second floor?
Yeah, so, this is really important. I'm sorry I didn't share this. The building that you're seeing there is actually, I believe, 8,000 square feet. But we're only fitting in 6,000 square feet of it now. So when you get the permits and you have the concrete slab and you build the walls, it's smart to have an extra space that we can bump into easily. Now we're not doing a second building campaign. It's kind of an easy way. But if you start from scratch and say, okay, let's attach it to the building. So the numbers they ran us, they said, why don't you make it a little bigger? So we'll have 2,000 square feet of storage, basically, dead pole barn extension. We could grow into that. Wait, what was your question? I totally lost my train of thought.
Is there a consideration for a second floor?
Oh, yes. So second floors are funny because you need elevators, they need handicap access, and there's a whole thing there. So you can have a second floor for storage, but you can't have a second floor for offices or classrooms because you have to have it handicap accessible. But it's all going to be part of the conversation we have with this company as far as designs and engineering go, because the building is going to be, like, you can see, like, behind, if you guys look behind you, that whole thing, there's a floor up there. I don't ever go up there. It's hot and whatever. But, like, this space here is going to be this tall. So, yes, there's considerations, but we don't have the designs yet. That's part of what we're talking about today. So to get those designs and those opportunities to maximize that space. Yeah. Colin, this is great. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, so high school kids, so the good thing about high school kids is we can put them anywhere. I don't think high school kids necessarily need a designated space. I was a youth pastor for a decade, and we just used the sanctuary, and they're pretty happy about that. I don't think we have a youth room that's kind of a multi-use room. The board meets in there, and small groups meet in there, and the middle school meets in there. It's really wonderful because we don't have to tear down and build. And that's also what we're going to do here is I would like to create, I think it's all in my imagination, like almost a living room, because we have, once we displace the kids club, it's going to open up some real estate that we have currently. And I'd love to have, people want to have small groups here. I'd love to have a space where there's maybe 3 or 4 couches where it feels like comfortable instead of sitting around hard tables. If people don't want to host at their home, they could host a men's or women's group right here in the building, and we could have like a living room. So for the high school kids, I don't think we need designated spaces, just from my experience. For kids on a Sunday morning, if you ever go into kids club, you'll see we need a space for this group and this group. So even right now, we have these,
But
yes.
we do need more space so that we can do more than one thing at a time.
Yeah.
That's probably a better way to answer your question.
There you go.
Is because right now, for instance, if you've been to a men's breakfast here on a Saturday morning, if we did anything else in the church, we'd have to go somewhere else.
Right. Yeah.
Because we got 30 or 40 guys and a breakfast, and so we need more space so that all the things that we're doing can grow into those spaces.
It's a great thing. I mean, something happened. It's kind of close to the vest, but I want to be a church that serves needs as they come up. It's super important to me that we serve needs. And we had a situation which was terribly awkward, which is we have Grief Share, which Rhonda does an amazing job doing, and then someone wanted to do a baby shower at the same time. Well, you can see right away the emotional whiplash that can happen with those 2 spaces, and I care about both those groups equally. And so it's like, how do we, circle this square here? But because we had limited space and capacity, this would solve it. So we could have something over there that's happening. Like just yesterday, we had a graduation party. That space could be a graduation party space easily. You know what I mean? And we could be having a men's breakfast at the same time, and no one would even know each other was happening. So as the church grows, programs grow, small groups grow, needs grow, and we have been blessed with this building. I mean, obviously you more than me because I just got here, but the stories I'm told, it's been legendary of how God's used this building for His glory. So that now we're trying to figure out how to figure out the next thing. Because by the time it happens, here's the thing. Do we have to do it right now? Well, no. We could wait till the quadruplets pop out, and then we realize we live in a 900 square foot house, and we have nowhere to put them. And then we're going to start construction at that point. Now you're way behind the curve. You haven't anticipated the reality of growth. That's why we're trying to anticipate, okay, we're clearly going this direction. Could we wait? Yes, but to our own hurt. And I think people are going to walk in and go, I'm going to just go somewhere where there's space for me. So we're trying to make sure this house has space. So any other questions? I want to hear. I love it. Yes. Oh, yes. Way in the back. I'll walk back. I'll walk back to you. It's okay. You can just say it.
Oh, I wanted to know if you could go over that timeline again. So you're hoping to raise a certain amount of money.
Okay, timeline, yeah. So this first installment, this $115,000, is to start an 8 to 10 month process of permitting, designs, engineering stuff. And as soon as we pull the trigger today, by God's grace, we'll start having basically a capital campaign where we clarify the goal. One of the things I got to figure out is, so once they get the designs done, the engineering done, we need a number. Right now we're kind of spitballing a number, 1.8, 2 million, I'd like a number, and then we could say, put it on the board and say, here's where we're going. And then take the next year, let's call it 2016, almost 2017, to raise money. And then what'd you say? 2016? Yeah, I lost a whole decade there. 2026, retroactively. 2026, 2027, thank you, Stephanie. And then we'll figure out where we're at. Because like I said, I'm not going to say, oh, no money came in, let's just get a mortgage. I won't do it. We're just gonna have to kind of pause and reassess and pray and figure it out, because I really want to do this wisely.
Just the permitting process alone has been known to take 6 months.
Yeah.
I mean, the one thing he didn't mention is something called the St. John's Water Management District. Because where we sit, we'll have to look at floodplains, we'll have to look at impervious and pervious materials, and we'll have to mitigate anything that we do after we put that building on, because that gives up where the rain goes. And it's, I can tell you all that because I was a county commissioner here in Lake County for 8 years. And,
Yeah.
The permitting has just gone crazy.
Yeah, the first part is unfun and unseen, but it's obviously necessary if you ever built a house. So
You still had a
there's a question over here, yeah.
So
No, thank you. So the 1.8 is for that building. I think there's a lot we could do in here much more affordably because we already have plumbing, we already have electrical, we already have structure, and so we could do a lot of even, like, so that is going to be dedicated to, some people said, is the church going to get involved in helping? And I appreciate the question, but when you pull a trigger on something, like we just moved into a house, and across the street from me, there was like an army of people that come and they spray it, they pave it, it's like, and if a volunteer said, can I help? It would be like getting in the way. So they're going to do that, but this internal phase 2 could possibly be something where volunteers help knock walls down and paint and stuff like that. So I think it could be done affordably. That's why I said 2 million, not 1.8, but again, totally spitballing it. And when we get the number, they lock into that number for a certain amount of time, like a contractor says, we'll give it to you, but if you don't sign now, it could go up. So, yeah, that's the answer to that question. Who else? Good questions. I really love this. Yes, Lee.
Are you looking for concrete block construction or steel building?
I have no clue right now, but I'm sure they're going to present us options. I'm sure they're going to present us options when we know. So right now, when they came to us, they said, what do you want? What do you need? We said we need 6 classrooms, we need a space, and we need 2 bathrooms and some offices. So we kind of gave them the general idea, and they looked at what we had and the room sizes, and that's where the 6,000 square foot came from. But we haven't got into actual structure and what it is. Yeah, materials, yeah. I mean, we could go into a zillion materials. I mean, roof and siding. And so what you see right here is to sister that building into the building would be impossible, basically, because of the pitch of the roof. You just can't do it. So we're going to have a covered awning, which is not represented well here at all. So if it's pouring rain like it was just today, kids could walk dry, parents could walk there. We're also considering things like safety so that it's not a standalone building with separate locks and separate doors, and all of these things are going to be considered, but it's like you have to start the process to get to the details. So, yes, sir.
Much capacity with the current kitchen?
For the kitchen? Yeah, so our kitchen, when you say capacity, do you mean how many people? I can already hear a laughing voice over here. Our kitchen is kitchen light. So we don't have an oven. We have a convection oven. We don't have a stove. So even that is kind of pieced together. So we're actually considering taking that kitchen that sits there and moving it all the way over there where there's a classroom where we can vent right out the door. We can build a proper kitchen. And again, that's going to cost $6 million just for the kitchen. I just know this from home construction. I was doing good, and then my wife goes, we got to order the fridge and the cabinets. I'm like, what in the world? 2x4s are $1.50. How are you? But yeah, to answer your question, our kitchen right now, Julia did our men's breakfast, and it's like, it's not smartly designed. It's almost like I would call it a warming kitchen where you warm stuff up. You can't actually prepare food properly there. It's a warm-up kitchen. Yeah, so do we want to ask ourselves, and we want to ask ourselves, do we even want to invest into that? So all these things are being considered, but like I said, they took the Boys and Girls Club and they took the best they could with what they had and tried to make it happen, but now we're kind of almost painted ourselves into a corner, and poor you who tried to help us, like, oh my gosh, this is not easy.
Probably don't need this, but the 115,000, you mentioned wanting to have 750,000 minimum before you do anything.
Right.
But if you wait to get permits, if it takes 6 months, don't you want to start sooner?
No, thank you.
In
So
other words, is that?
The approval of the money today
Yeah.
begins a process where immediately we could take, let's say they're billing us, they're not. We could take $10,000, we have it. We have $70,000 in our checking account right now. We have $540 in our savings account. So we're going to start doing this now. As soon as we approve it, this is going to start.
Thank you.
But as far as turning dirt over is what I'm talking about. This is everything that gets done for $115,000. Guess what? You'll see nothing.
This is permitting and design.
Permitting, design, engineering. Like I said, you'll see nothing. If you come back next week and go, I voted yes, where's the building? You're going to see nothing, which is very exciting, for 10 months. And then, but here's a good thing. Once we get this done, let me just be clear about this. Once we get this done, let's just say the money doesn't come. We can hold these permits, engineering, the water stuff for a long time. And it'll hold. So it's not money down the drain. We can push the pause button on building till the money's there. So we can say, okay, we have it all. We have the permits. We have the designs. We have all the stuff that we need. And then we can, she went out the right door. It's the quickest way out, in her defense. So this is actually a really good point you're bringing up, because once we have it, we have it. So if we wait 2 years after, the cost of building might go up, but the permits, the codes, all that will be set. It's all locked in. Yeah. Yeah.
Now, I do have a second one.
Fire away.
Who's writing the contract? In other words, who's going to make sure that the contract is written
Oh, right.
in such a
No.
way that
Thank you.
we can hold the contractor responsible?
Nancy, do you want to speak to that? Because we're actually putting together a committee for a building committee that's going to do stuff like this to make sure that the T's are crossed, the I's are dotted, and it's a good contract. You want it? Well, Miss Nancy, get his name.
And Mark,
Yeah.
I have a question
Yes.
also.
As the chairman of the board, I say,
Are we going to have a separate,
getting all the help I need.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
will we be having a separate account for this?
Yes, 100%.
We have been in a position before where we thought funds
We
were
have,
set
yes,
aside and they
thank
were
you.
not.
Yeah, so we actually worked very hard, because typically in our church we do not have dedicated accounts, but we actually set up a dedicated account for the building fund. So we're not going to be wishy-washy with the money. I'll tell you what.
That's a good point. Our bylaws call for us to approve a designated fund, and that money will go into that designated fund for this particular process.
Yeah, good questions. Good questions. Some come from joy and some come from pain, but all good questions. Any other questions? Because I want to make sure. I know a lot of people came in going, "What is going on?" And my board members advised me. Yes, all the way back there. Yes, ma'am. It's you. Is there a goal for security? Let me ask. Give her the microphone. I want to hear her question correctly.
Since we're adding another building and the goal is to have more children, is there a goal to add more security once we have more children?
Yeah, no, thanks for that question. Obviously, there's a few ways you could think about security, right? One is the building itself, right? The building's secure. There's safety and security. There's two things. So I did something, and I think some people might have missed the point why I did it, but we put cameras in every kid's environment that we have here for two reasons. Total accountability for parents and for teachers. So if something, God forbid, should happen from an injury to an accusation, we can pull camera footage from every kid's environment and see what's going on there. I just think that's wisdom. I think the safety of our kids is the most important thing. That's the building. The egress, entrances, it's got to be safe. Obviously, you see we have a police officer here every week. We have security that you may not be aware of, but we have about 4 to 5 people that serve on a security capacity without the building. But that's definitely a piece of it. Because to me, if I go to a new church, I care about safety before doctrine. If my kids aren't safe, I can't even listen to the sermon if I think my kids aren't safe over there. So when I know they're safe, then I can be comfortable, probably like you and your husband. It's like, are my kids safe here? So yes, that'll be a part of the tiered growth response for sure. So if you have specific ideas or things you've noticed, talk to me or Stephanie, because I'd love to see where that question's coming from. It matters to me. Yes, ma'am.
I think the contractor that we are looking at choosing, I think that's part of his power. I think he's going for that.
Security?
Yeah, to know what, entrance, exit. if
Right.
it's gonna be-
He specializes in churches and large organizations, and that's all part of that consideration. For instance, when we started this, I've been here since the beginning, and at one time, the building was going to be over here.
Yeah, that's where they proposed it
And
first.
Then we got to looking into it, and all the setback requirements and all the things that we didn't, I'm a novice, I don't know anything about that. And runoffs and all that is why it goes over there. And Marvin, I mean, heck, Marvin, we painted this place many years ago, didn't we? And put all our time and effort into it. And so all that's going to be taken into consideration. We actually have a building committee that we're going to get involved who got a great history to work with this contractor to get us where we need to go.
Yeah. Any other questions? I hope it's representing other questions that are people thinking about. Anybody, please, any questions? This is really important to me. Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Just so I can hear it. Thank you.
It's less a question, but I'm pretty sure that there's a few thousand hours in this before you guys got here today. And I just want to thank you for all the time and prayer that you've put into this today.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
For all the volunteers that we don't see.
No, I appreciate that. And, you know, that's, you know, you bring up something really important. And Nancy and Tim came to my office the other day. We were talking, and it's like there's so much behind the doors conversations. It's like, I know what we're doing, but you don't know. Or why, you know, why 2 million? Why 6,000 square feet? Why 6 this? And why that location? And why this has all been fleshed out, all been talked out, but you don't get to be a part of it. And I never want that, especially as this is a family. Listen, this is a family, and this is our house. And, you know, we just got a new house. We finally bought a house in Florida, which is really exciting. And Ari, he's 12. He'll say to his friends on FaceTime, we want to see my house. Now, he doesn't help much with the mortgage payment, but it is his house. It is his house. And I want every 2-year-old to every 90-year-old to say, this is my house. And I remember when I got here, I think I shared this, but I'll share it again. If you really want to see John Blake get excited, ask him about how they renovated this building. Because he starts talking about building this and cutting this and painting this, and he was showing me all these pictures. Here's why. There's nothing more exciting than growing. And, you know, I am so glad we're not a part of a dying church. And there are churches in the community, and I take no joy at all. In fact, I grieve to see these beautiful buildings, huge, massive, beautiful buildings about to close down. Listen, let that not ever be said of us, that we're going to build for the next generation. And so the guys that got in the scaffolding, listen to me, and you're in this room, you're not allowed in the scaffolding this time. Amen. Amen. It's time, listen to me, for the next generation to learn how to fight. And this is the beauty of a church, is that the older teach the younger to fight and to battle and to build and to give. And me and my wife, I remember being broke as all get out. And we started building, and I was a youth pastor, so I wanted people to give to the youth ministry, but no. They said, we're cutting the budget for youth because we're building the children's wing. And so whatever you planned on spending this year, don't. We're going to spend it on the kids area. So I could have done two things. I could have gotten an attitude. Oh, what about teenagers? We pledged money we didn't have as a young couple. Pledged money we didn't have. Because I said, I always want to be a part of building the house of God. And so I pray you'd come along with us on this journey, that we would see generation after generation. And, you know, Tim was saying very anecdotally, but, you know, as he's outside, you know, as our kind of our semi-security, he goes, every week there's a new baby. I see a new baby coming in the building, and I say, thank you, Jesus, for that. You know, when we came here, the church, let me just say this, the church has grown younger. The church is growing younger, and it's a sign of health. It's a sign of health, where every generation is honored. Any questions before we take this to a vote and to the next thing?
Yes, Marvin.
No, thank you. So right now, we're in a holding pattern. We lost one staff member. We're talking, I won't want to get all now without permission, because we are having multiple conversations internally about staff, about how to grow in a healthy way. Staff is not a one-time expense, but staff makes or breaks a church. You know, like I said, a building doesn't save a person. I've watched gorgeous buildings be destroyed by bad leadership, and I've watched ugly buildings be built with good leadership. We want to be part of that church with both, hopefully, a beautiful building and good leadership. Part of staffing, Marvin, to be honest, and the rest of you who are listening here, it's very difficult to find staff. Full-time staff is a little easier, but sometimes we don't need full-time staff. Sometimes we need three-quarter staff or half-time staff. We got Nicole, which has been a godsend to me. She makes me look good every week. But I mean, it's so funny. Nicole's a great example. We did everything with all the church staffing websites and all that kind of stuff. I met with people, interviewed everyone, and someone just said, hey, we know a lady. You could have saved a lot of money. We just skipped ahead. But yeah, staffing is always top of mind. I don't think there's a board meeting that goes by where we don't talk about staffing on some level, because as we grow, we have to consider that. So are you looking to do children's or youth, Marvin? Are you open to... Do you have a resume ready? I just if you want, I'll talk to you.
Okay.
But no, it's a good question. Yes.
Can I propose that we vote, and I'm going to make an adjustment to the agenda, and instead of doing a written vote for our new board member, I'd like a by hands vote.
A board member. Actually, Fred, where are you?
Fred.
Come on up. This is Fred. Let's welcome Fred. Fred's a... But let me introduce them. For those who don't know, Fred, how many years have you been a part of this church?
6 years.
6 years, yeah. Him and his wife. Now, today we're voting for him. His wife can't be here today, unfortunately, so we'll officially set him in on a Sunday when his wife can be here and pray for them and get around them. But Fred is just a great man. Him and his wife both love the Lord, love the church, and we need more great board members. And I believe Fred's going to add a lot of strength to our church. And so we've investigated you, sent cars around your block. But in all seriousness, all of our board knows him and has said yes, let's bring him on board. So our board has unanimously agreed for him. So let's pray and vote him in right now. What do you think?
Okay. Well, why don't y'all take the ballots? We can do that.
You want to do the ballots? Okay, so you have the ballots.
While they're counting,
The
I'm trying to
ballots,
make
the
use of
ballots that are in your hand is for the money. There's nothing about it. We're going to take a verbal vote for Fred in just a second. So if you fill that out and then put your hand up, we'll bring some buckets around and collect yes or no on it.
The end of the road.
There you go.
Yep.
Let's make this simple.
By the teacher, yeah.
Do I get to vote?
Huh? On yourself?
Do I get to vote?
He says, no, I'm reluctant. I don't know if I should.
I've never returned full vote since I've been chairman.
I shouldn't say that out.
You're right.
Thank you all for staying after church. I appreciate it. What's that?
Yeah, 5 minutes.
Is that what I said? 5 minutes? I've spoken like a true charismatic.
Okay, while they're picking up the ballots, I would like for the board, the board formally nominated Fred to become a board member. That's what our bylaws call for, but it has to be approved by you, the congregation. So I'm just going to do this by a show of vote, by hands. Everybody in favor of making Fred part of the board, please raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Unanimously.
If you were opposed, I was going to ask you to be a board
There you
member.
go.
But anyway,
Congratulations, Fred. Welcome aboard, man.
Thank you.
Love you, man. That's wonderful. I know they're going to gather these up and count them quick. Which I know we have some board members missing, but if you're a board member, come up front and join me on stage. Are you still working, Nancy? I don't want to mess with your process here. Forgive me.
Doing great. Keep going.
No, come on up here. So I know we have some people missing. It is Jenny Lee, she's coming. So who are we missing here today? We're missing Gary, and
Gary's gone.
Gary and Dave. Yeah. So, and now with Fred. Yeah, you got to come up, Fred. Now you're a part of this is you want to, and so I'm thankful for this board. I just want to say this before the church. I've done all the membership interviews myself, and they ask about the church leadership and how it works and how it functions. And I am the pastor of this church, but I defer to and I look to members. Each board member God has uniquely built each board member with skill sets. And so sometimes I'll call Chuck, but I won't call Tim, or I'll call Tim. And it's not that I'm avoiding their opinion, it's just that they have an expertise. And like Nancy, I know will say whatever she wants to say to me without any shame. And And she's a tightwad as well. So if I want to spend more money than I think I say, Nancy, what do you think? And she'll say, and the thing is, there's three types of pastors. There's the autocrat that runs the church and don't get in my way, and my board is a bunch of puppets that do as I tell them. Then there's the consensus leader that we all have to agree together to get anything done. But then there's the collaborative leader, which is the leader I aspire to be, to say, let's work this together. In fact, I'll tell you one story, is that when we were changing our constitution, most of it was small things, but there was something about voting with the board, and we need, 51% to change something. And I said, I don't want that in there at all. If we ever have a 51, of course, we'd have to have 100 board members, but my point is, I said, I don't want a split vote. If we're that divided, we're going to keep praying and working on it together till we're in agreement. Because just because I have an idea, it might not be a good idea. It might not even be a God idea. It just might be some bad burrito I had last night. And sometimes the leader might say to me, hey, Mark, have you considered this? And I'll say, you know what, I didn't consider that. And this is what this board does. They're not a puppet board at all. They voice their voice when they want to voice it. But I will say this to their credit, and I thank them for that. They trust that God has put me here to lead the church. And they don't put their thumb on me. They don't hold me back. They trust me. And I'm thankful. And I want to publicly celebrate our board for all they do for free for our church. Can we just thank God for our board? Whatever I'm paying you, double it right now. But you guys can have a seat. Thank you so much. We're just waiting for the count so we can end this meeting. But if you have any other questions about the church or anything, my favorite foods or your favorite foods, I'm getting hungry. This is pretty painless. I appreciate you guys. Yeah. I've been so excited just watching what God's been doing in the church.
John had a question.
Oh, John Hornstra. Hey, what's up, man? You're in the shadows. Forgive me.
This isn't really a question, but I just want people to be aware that when the city of Leesburg built our fire station out near the airport, they found 3 gophers through the St. John's Water Authority. They found 3 gophers. And I used to play with those gophers when I was a little youngster, but they had to be relocated.
Oh, gosh.
And it was $25,000 per gopher.
Oh, gosh. Don't say this to me. Lord, no gophers on our land, please.
And it took 3 months, additional 3 months to accomplish that.
Yeah, you don't want to know what
I know what people, I think I heard someone say something about a BB gun. I don't know, I heard something. Yeah, I learned real quick when I moved to Florida what I could and couldn't do. I was out there. It was so funny. The Sandhill Cranes are walking by, and I was just overly amused. I went out there. I was feeding them Cheetos. And Allie comes out. She says to me, she goes, you know you can't feed those birds. They're protected. I'm like, Cheetos? I can't. She's like, so I'm like, all right, I'll leave them alone. And, of course, we had Keith, who was our he was working here in the office, and he goes, what do they call those? Filet in the sky? Or what do they call What do they call them? Ribeye in the sky. So, I have not. I can promise I have not done that before. So, guys, I'm just. Oh, who's got a question? Oh, you got the count? 98 yes, 2 no. Well, I'll let you do the honors here. And a perfect 100 votes. That's interesting.
By a 98% yes vote, we approved the $115,000.
Bless you guys. Have a wonderful Sunday. Listen. Let me say one more thing before you walk out the door.
We need to officially close.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, you close.
We need to officially close the congregational meeting at 12:15.
Here, yeah. I was going to say this. Listen, when I got here, I was offered different offices. I love my office because it represents who I want to be as a leader. If you need to talk to me about anything, even after today, my door is always open. Nicole knows you call. You can talk to me about anything with the church. Decisions. We're an open book as a church. Thank you for being here. Appreciate you guys. Love you.